Does it have to be that particular converter?
I mean, I could say no, but yeah, it's gotta be that one. This will help with the hardware, but I still gotta figure out my AI. So it's a start.
Well, then go tell Jim and I'll load everything else.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And we're sorry this is coming a little bit late to you, but I'm sure a few people have covered it, but Ironheart pretty much just came and went like the wind.
The whole thing's dropped. Like Disney Plus thinks it's Netflix or something, dropping a whole series in a week. Come on.
Yeah. And I really have a funny feeling is because they already had this in the books for a while. And I do, I understand it, and I completely understand it. And the thing is that I'm glad we got what we got, but me as a viewer have only been watching like 1 or 2 episodes at a time. At this point, I've only watched 2 episodes, everybody.
Yeah, me too. I've only watched the first 2. So
Steve and I are both on the same page. This is how we're coming at you live, everybody. We're going to do 2 episodes. So this week, we're going to give it to you. You're going to get it on July 5th. We're recording July 3rd, unfortunately. But happy July 4th for those of you who are celebrating for the July 4th weekend. But we plan on to cover these first 2 episodes based upon our thoughts about this particular episode. So keep in mind, this is a spoiler-full podcast about season 1 of Ironheart, episodes 1 and 2 that can be found on Disney Plus. So if you have not watched the show, please stop the podcast, go back, watch it, and then come back and listen to us. If you have already and you love spoilers, stay with us and have fun.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll go into Ironheart Season 1, Episode 1. And Steve, give us the title and the synopsis, please.
Sure. The title of this one was Take Me Home. Not Take Me Home Tonight, just Take Me Home. Determined to complete her newest armored suit, Riri Williams teams up with Parker Robbins. Where did you get these? Because that's not really, kind of, I guess. She really partnered with Joe McGillicuddy in the next episode to complete the suit.
Well, this was taken directly from Disney Plus on the title.
Well, Disney Plus is stupid. I'm just saying, because that's not really, determined to complete her newest armored suit. The suit's already completed. She's just got to fix it because it's broken.
Literally,
that's first thing.
What it is. Yeah,
it's complete. She's just got to fix it. She's got to fix the AI. And she didn't team up with Parker, I guess, gave her the money, but really it's not Parker. It's going to be in the next episode. She teams up with Joe to actually fix the suit. So I don't know. Parker
honestly,
is the weirdo hood guy that we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to talk about him.
We will talk about him.
But the not lizard person.
Well, the funniest is that I think when they did this and they did the synopsis, is they handed it to some sort of intern.
AI.
Or AI, an intern probably saying,
yeah,
hey, this sounds good because I just watched the whole thing back to back, because literally that's what it feels like when you read the synopsises as they go. And I'm like, oh, okay. Unless somebody is like really versed in comic book lore, because Parker is involved in comics. And we'll talk about this. I have a little side page within this particular episode talking about Parker and everything else.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about this. My only exposure to Riri Williams, I haven't even seen Wakanda Forever, so I didn't even know her from that. What? Yeah, no, I haven't. I didn't watch Wakanda Forever. I'm sorry, guys.
And we didn't even cover it, everybody. Too.
No, we didn't. So I just hadn't watched it. And so my only memory of her is from the What If one that we covered. That's the one where I knew her from, was the What If episode that she was in. So
Yeah,
So this was a complete surprise to me when this whole thing came out, and I was a little confused. I guess I get well, we'll talk some more about it
go ahead.
later, but well, no, because like when I was reading like about this Ironheart
Mhm.
um show that was coming out, they were talking about some sort of supernatural element, which
Mhm.
we kind of get a little bit of that. I don't remember if it's in the first episode or the second episode, where Riri asks about where Parker got his cloak from, and there's a
Correct.
whole thing about, and
Yeah.
one of the rumors is that he might have wrestled a demon for it. I don't know. I think that's in the second episode actually, but
It is.
yeah, so we'll get to that later. But like they haven't touched on the supernatural yet in these first two episodes, so I'm guessing maybe further down the line in the last four we'll get
Mhm.
some sort of supernatural element. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, to give you folks who actually watch Wakanda Forever like I did, I only watched it about maybe 2 or 3 times over the past number of years, mainly for the fact that I do love the original Black Panther film. And we don't have the one person anymore who is Black Panther.
Mhm.
And it kind of shadowed everything that we got from Chadwick Boseman.
Mhm.
And he is my one and only and truly only Black Panther. And in that movie, they kind of basically stated he's gone, he died,
Right.
he kind of passed away. Within that particular film, we get the introduction of Riri Williams because of his sister. His sister knew somebody, and through the Wakandan technology and everything
Mhm.
else,
Yeah.
met Riri, and she was able to be inducted. She's very much a virtuoso, almost like Tony Stark,
Right.
but unfortunately, she wasn't brought up with like immense money and wealth.
Mhm. Yeah.
She's a product of her social outcome, unfortunately, but she overcomes that with her intelligence, which is
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what is shown within the comic lore to everybody. So if you read, those of you who are comic book readers are already aware of Riri. Those of you have watched the Wakanda Forever movie from Black Panther 2, you'll know that to some degree, but this enhances it and gives more of the backstory of Riri and who she is. Now, mind you, there is like what Steve had kind of alluded to. There is some sort of supernatural element, which kind of harkens back into like Doctor Strange in a Multiverse of Madness, or Agatha All Along that we have covered, things that we were foretelling over time. So, especially with WandaVision and everything else that I was skeptical about, and Steve was like, "Nah, that's not happening," and it did
Yeah. Yeah.
during WandaVision.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, and we'll see if that
that
character comes into
falls
play. Yeah, if it
exactly.
in this there's kind of, again, there's rumors that that's going to come, that character may come out
Yeah,
in this series. I don't know. Like I said,
we'll see.
everybody, this being July 3rd, I know that all 6 episodes have dropped. So by the time people hear this, there's going to be people who have watched the whole thing that are going to be like yelling at their car stereos or wherever they're listening to us at, going, "You idiots! It's already been established
I already watched the
what's
whole
going on."
thing. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. There's going to be people who are like, I'm like, "Oh, we haven't watched the whole thing. We've only watched the first two episodes, and I've only
Exactly.
watched the first two episodes twice." So, but I will say,
We're late to the
another,
party, everybody.
yeah, we're a little late, but that's okay. That's okay. People, I will say this also, just as a side note, that
Good.
I did not recognize Solo. I did not recognize Han Solo at all in that
Really?
second episode. I didn't. I was like, because his hair is different. He's older. He just looks. I'm not saying anything about the actor. I'm just, the actor's great. I
Yeah.
mean, I
And I
like
love
Solo,
I
and
liked Solo too, as well.
yeah, I like Solo, and I liked him in this actually too. When we get to the second episode, we'll talk some more about Joe,
Exactly.
because I really like that character, and I like what they're doing with him. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't recognize him at all. I had to go back and go, "That's Solo," and so I felt kind of bad going, it doesn't look like young Han Solo, but it did. But anyway, so I digress. But we're in episode 1 right now.
Yeah. And
And it was.
and as always, we started off and we kind of changed formats over the years. it's casual talk about the episode. So Steve and I both know this, and it's kind of a banter. So if we go back and forth and like forwards and backwards within the
Yeah.
episode, if you, like I said, if you've watched it, you already know, and you're going to be like, I can relate to this. If you haven't, that's why we tell you to rewind, come back, and then after you watch the episode.
Yeah. And
Uh,
we don't go crazy. Like we're not I mean, I love podcasters that go super duper in depth into
yeah.
everything. And sometimes we do if we have the time, but this show's been pretty straightforward. And which I
Mhm,
really like.
mhm.
And so yeah, anyway,
Let's
we'll
go
get
forth.
yeah, let's go. So overall thoughts for episode one. First off, I just off the bat, I want to say it was lovely to see Jim Rash. As much
Oh,
as
thank you, thank you, thank
I
you.
was
Community.
I was so glad to see Jim Rash.
The Dean,
It's been a
Diener,
while
Diener,
since I
Diener.
and it's been a while since I watched Civil War, so I didn't realize until I read some trivia and stuff about it that he was basically reprising his role
Yeah,
from Civil War, which is great. But yeah, I loved seeing the Dean and seeing Jim Rash in a different kind of way of looking at him and different kind of character was really really cool. But
I
I
thought
mean
that was great.
I really enjoyed the first episode. It really set us off on a good it set the characters up for us
Mhm.
really well. It showed us Riri. It gave us her back. I mean, it gave me, even though, like I said, I haven't watched Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
My only exposure to this character was the What If episode. But in the first episode of this series, it gave me enough of a backstory that I know where she's coming from. I know who
Mhm.
she is. I understand she's this child prodigy. She's intellectual. She's wants to be the next Tony Stark. I got it. I got all the I got the other characters. They assemble the team, and we'll talk some more probably about
Yeah,
the team. But I just love this first episode that the way it set the whole series up, and it gives us this mystery of Parker as
and the
well.
group
So
and the
yeah,
group itself,
yeah,
Stu, everybody else too,
yeah.
everybody. Uh,
Rampage.
Rampage, yeah,
Rampage. Yeah,
especially
we got Rampage, Slug, Clown, and the other,
hacker.
yeah,
Names that are out there.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't remember all the names of them, but yeah,
I just love the fact that we do start it off. She's in school. We find out where she's getting her money, and
mhm,
she's basically selling off test questions and everything else.
yeah, and
Just
doing assignments for people and
and
building their science projects for them.
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like a Jumanji kind of thing, or the new Jumanji, I should say, everybody too, if you remember that, because that's what that kid did with Fridge. That's a nice little callback for Adrenaline Cinema podcast when we talk about Jumanji. But the thing is that she's able to do this because she doesn't have money. She's
Right.
not somebody of privilege or wealth, so she's trying to do this to make the money to do everything that she needs to for her passion for her tech, wanting to be the next Tony Stark. Because am I correct in saying she was in MIT?
Yes, she was in MSU.
Okay.
Massachusetts Institute of Technology was where she's at. So right outside Boston or wherever, somewhere in
Which I've been
Boston.
stuck in Massachusetts for the past, like, at least 2 days,
I
for
thought
the
it was
past
funny
two
when you said
weeks.
that earlier that you I was like, yeah, that's where Riri was stuck for a little while.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I had to do that for my job at one point, and I had to cover for people for doing home theater installation, everybody. That was fun. But I love driving hours, like 1 hour to the next hour. But
Yeah.
anyhow, I digress. Anyhow, she is out there, and I'm like, wow, that could have been where Peter Parker was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in my head too as I was driving, by the way, everybody, when I was actually in Boston, in Massachusetts. Anyhow, so she's there. She kind of gets kicked out. You
Mhm.
got Rash out there, and he's like, no, 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 you did all this. And then she gets kicked. So she takes her suit and she flies off back to Chicago. And through that, she kind of corrupts the suit and screws it up. And then she meets this one
I
kid.
thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious because first off, I put a note. I put a note in the doc because I wanted to make sure we didn't forget the Chicago talk. I loved it when she said, take me to Chicago. And he's like, Chicago, it's a band from the 70s and the 80s. He's like,
Yeah.
no, not that Chicago, Illinois. And finally he gets her. But I also And I
The
will say
AI
this,
though is interesting though too, because it's from the school,
right?
and
And
let's talk about that.
yeah,
Do you have
because
notes?
I know yeah, kind of, because I mean yeah, because in my first watch, I'm gonna say this, because on my first watch,
Good.
as when she takes the suit, and one of the guards or somebody who's there makes the comment that, well, she built that suit with her grant money, so it's her suit, so she can take it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that's kind of okay, there's a gray area there, that maybe
Yeah,
it belongs to the
exactly.
school, maybe it belongs to her. I don't know how grants work anyway, but regardless, while she's flying back to Chicago, I'm thinking in my head going, wait, she was just expelled. How come her student ID still works? So when she gets to Chicago and the suit suddenly goes, hey, you don't have access anymore, and shuts down on her, I was like, see, that's what you get. All right. But it was funny because
Exactly.
like the first time I watched it, I was thinking that. I thought exactly that. I was like, she's been expelled. How can she, why does the suit let her in? And then of course, that it crashes. And yeah, so I thought that was great, that whole scene of her having to basically get rid of the school's AI and build her own AI uh
Yes.
for the suit. So
Yeah, and I love how she nabbed the tech though to
mhm.
to get the suit and to bye bye, kind of like
Yeah.
hello. But yeah, then she's got Trevor with her as her AI assistant, and he's only there for so long, and he looks like the typical.
Yeah, the
Did you get?
pencil, he was a pencil or whatever. I think it was a pencil is
It
what he
was a
was. Yeah.
pencil, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like that old
Clippy.
word.
Yeah,
Oh,
Clippy.
Clippy,
Yeah,
yeah.
Clippy from the old word office
or
stuff. Yeah.
or you get it from Jurassic Park with Mr. DNA
Yeah. Yeah.
attitude, and it's pretty cool. But she winds up being like when she gets to Chicago at certain points,
Hmm.
especially within this particular episode, but also the next, she winds up creating her own. But it's so funny how she has to move on with her life, and then she meets this little kid, and,
Landon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Landon's there, and he goes, "You're not from no, you're not from here." and she goes, he goes, "You need to take that off
Yeah. Yeah.
because
He's
you're
like,
gonna get beat
you
up."
look a mess. Yeah, you look a hot mess. Let me help you out. And I guess she collected up all the pieces and put them into his wagon and got it to her building and
Yeah,
stuff there. But I thought that was as they're walking, and like there's that part where he says, well, what's your name? And she goes, well, I'm Miss Riri because I'm grown and you're little. I thought, it's
I
like, you're
just
not that
like that.
grown. You're not that grown, Riri. Come on.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
she's
she's an adult, but she is an adult, but
she's young Sheldon at this
yeah,
point.
she's like, yeah, we don't know exactly how old. I'm assuming she's at least 18 at this point because of all the stuff she's doing, because
Mhm.
they said, they said that she graduated high school at 9, graduated college at like 12, I think the guy says, or something like that, and then
Mhm.
went to graduate school. And when, at the beginning part, when she's talking to the graduate school woman who kicks her out, she says, you've been here 5 years. So if we do
Yeah,
the math there, that puts her 17, 18 years old,
correct.
somewhere in that,
Because
somewhere
she
in that
graduated
neighborhood.
earlier,
Yeah, because
everybody,
like I said,
if you
she
think
graduated
about it.
high school and then she graduated college. So if she did 3 years of college, she would have been like 12 or 13, and so then she's been there for 5 years. That puts her, like I said, 17, 18 in that area of, she's probably 18, I would imagine, because of all the stuff she's doing and that her mom is kind of letting her do. I would assume she's 18 at this point,
I would assume
so
17 or 18, yeah.
yeah, at
And
least.
the story goes, and if you think about it, because of everything that transpires within the story itself in this episode, there's always a story within a hero's backlog that we do
Mhm.
find out within this particular episode. Usually tragic, which it is. With Riri's, it was her stepdad, I would
Yeah,
say,
it's a stepdad, and then
her
this
best friend.
her and her best friend. Yeah, so it's her stepdad and the guy with the knit cap, the singer guy. Kind of, I don't
Yes,
know if it's supposed to be her boyfriend or
our love
something.
interest.
Yeah, some kind of a romantic interest there. Obviously, it was his sister, so it's her stepdad and his sister, which means we don't know who her father is, which I think is
Correct.
is is obviously there's some sort of there might be some sort of backstory there. I don't know
We
if
don't
we're gonna
know
get
until we get to the end, everybody. So,
yeah
Steve
what
and
her
I
who
are
her
still new.
father yeah who her father is going to be, if her father's going to be somebody of importance or not, I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely something there. And we know from the next episode that I'm assuming it's going to have something to do with gun violence, because of
Yes.
the way Natalie Natalie reacted to the gun being pointed at her.
Correct.
So I'm assuming we're going to get that backstory as we go through the episodes. We know
But we get a
something.
little bit of like backstory in this where she has the conversation, or we get the back history of her talking to John and the
Mhm.
CUDA that was sold. You
Yeah,
think a Barracuda, everybody, CUDA is keyword for a car
right.
that
Yeah, that's
her stepfather was working on, that she used to make money to pay for her suit.
yeah, yeah. So
And
again, that's another thing that we're gonna have to find out along the way, if that car is still out there somewhere, or if that's going to be
a
something.
1978 CUDA. Oh my god.
Mm,
Oh, I would
yeah,
love
quite
to
a
see.
car.
I've
Yeah,
seen a couple in firsthand and they're beautiful.
yeah,
Anyhow,
yeah,
uh John, who is in Chicago, offers Riri like some sort of a job that she can't refuse for her help with their venture with his
yeah. He pays.
gang.
He pays for the parts that she's buying from the guy, the kind of the whatever that store was that she was at.
Correct.
And he pays for that, and then gives her the pizzeria, the Desperitos, uh, whatever it was, pizzeria card, which I loved. I love a good. It's one of the things. It's one of the things I love in these like Ocean's 11 and these different heist movies, where they give
Mm.
you the montage of recruiting people for the crew. So I loved seeing that, as when she meets the crew, and Parker is telling her about all the different, how he recruited the two
Yeah,
UFC or UCF fighters, whatever he called them, the fighters, and then he got slugged from Madripoor, and she's like, I'm the most wanted person, or I'm sorry, they are the most wanted person from Madripoor, or something like that. And
which
then
is Marvel Disney folklore, everybody, if you
yeah,
remember.
that's your
Yeah.
black market place. And then John with the stiletto, the Eskimina, whatever he said, stiletto, and she's like, yeah, I'm John, my parents didn't say I love you enough, so I play with knives. I thought was just hilarious. And he's like, yeah, you actually, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out, because he's a little bit older, so I don't know if they're gonna play with a romantic interest there or not.
Yeah,
But
there's a possibility in
it
multiple
seems like there could
parts.
be, yeah, there could
Yeah.
be something going there. We'll see how that plays out with John. But and that actor is familiar to me. I know I've seen him in other things,
Who's
but I can't.
Stu from Rampage?
No, no, no. The guy playing John, playing
John?
the John, the stiletto guy, the recruiter.
He does look familiar
Because
to me as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look him up before we started recording, and see
Same here.
specifically what his IMDb was. But I'll before the next episode, I'll look him up and see,
Same
because
here.
he's something I've seen him on something before, and I can't place it in my brain right now, but I know he's somebody. That actor is somebody. So
Yeah, same thing with me with Stu or
mhm.
Rampage. He's definitely been in a ton of movies.
Yeah,
I
he's
remember his face.
yeah, yeah, he's
But
familiar.
yeah, and then through this whole thing, we get Parker, who is known as the Hood,
Hood. Yep.
showing himself and explaining himself, and then she knew who the team was pretty much overall from their like her experience. She's heard of them before.
Mhm.
Parker offering her a position within his statement, stating that they literally want her for 3 jobs and giving her a signing bonus for this.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
states flat out that I guess his work literally is theft, extortion, and opportunity for
Mhm.
everyone. So,
Yeah.
and this is for her to get what she wants. So it's very a tempting
Yeah.
opportunity for her to get her armor up and working for whatever she needs to do or whatever she's looking to do.
Yeah.
And that's really where we're lying at this point. And then later on we get these kind of like flashbacks of her losing her father or her stepfather and Natalie at that point,
Hmm.
like you
Yeah.
mentioned before.
Yeah. Without the details, we don't have the details yet. We're going to get those, I'm sure, as we move forward, but not, we don't know exactly what happened yet. We know something happened there. And then, yeah, in this first episode, we get to, let's talk about that elevator scene for a minute, because I thought it was really interesting
Mhm.
how she solved the problem without solving it the way he wanted her to solve it. Because,
Oh yeah, she thought
he
it
tells
through
her,
almost like a Tony Stark way of doing things.
yeah, yeah, but he's told her there's a gas mask in, if you open up this thing, there's a gas mask in there,
Yeah,
and she totally bypasses that solution and goes for a totally different solution, which I thought was great. Was
yeah,
that she uses a whole totally different way of opening the elevator door and stepping out without ever getting the gas mask.
mhm.
And one of the guys, whether it's John or somebody from the crew, is like, "Well, that's how I would have done it." I was
Stu
like,
said that. Yeah,
is this
Rampage.
too? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how I would have done it. That's right. Sure, you would
that's
have.
why I wouldn't
Uh,
have
yeah,
done
it's just,
it.
uh, but yeah, I thought that was really cool. The fact that she didn't do it the way he wanted her, but it still is. She did it enough that it still was her entrance into the. That was her interview. He said,
To
this
the
is your
crew.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And then after she kind of agrees to this, we kind of segue on and we see Parker at a later point with his tattoos.
Yeah, and
And
that was something John was doing, was putting something, was right, was doing was filling in the tattoo, or was doing
correct.
something with the tattoo needle on his back, and
Yes.
was like, well, let's take a break. So John knows something about what's going on there. I'm not sure exactly how much he knows, but obviously there's more to this tattoo and this hooded cloak,
Correct.
that obviously we're going to find out as we go forward. But there's something more to that
And then we get Riri actually working on her suit and then pulling power from the grid. And then
yeah,
she goes 4 hours, and then things
yeah,
collapse. And then
yeah,
out of the blue, Natalie shows,
yeah.
and
She
she's like
wakes up
an
the next morning,
AI.
and yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah. That end of the that very end of the first episode where we get that, where she meets Natalie, the AI, and then kind of passes out
Yeah.
there for or a few seconds. I thought was really a cool way to end that episode and bring us into episode two.
Well, I have one quote from it.
Yeah,
And then that would be Riri from herself saying, I want to build something undeniable. I want real life scientific epiphanies. You want me to do homework. I have to explain to my
yeah.
professors. You want me to be small, but I refuse. So this is her will. This is who she is. A person like Tony Stark, pushing the boundaries with her intelligence, regardless
I
of
love I love
others.
that though too, that part of that scene too, because when she says that, she's kind of getting this higher, this holier than thou,
Hierarchy.
kind of higher, well, no, kind of I'm better than all of you kind of
Yeah.
thing. And the woman Dean there kind of turns it on her and goes, look, no, that's not who here asked you to be, nobody asked you to be small. She's like, I brought you here specifically so you could get better. I brought
Yeah.
in the right professors for you, and you basically threw it in my face. Is kind of what she told Riri, that's why you're getting kicked out, is because I did all this stuff for you because you are this prodigy, because I
Mhm.
want you to fulfill your potential, but you've got to fulfill your potential within. Again, this is where it comes back to what you're saying, that Riri looked at it as she was being made small, and the
Mhm.
teacher was like, no, I'm trying to teach you so that you have the tools to become big, without having to take shortcuts and stuff. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting. I don't know if there's going to be anything more of that. Like, if at the end, if she's going to come back to MIT, it wouldn't surprise me if at the end of the series she comes back to MIT kind of with her tail between her legs,
Yeah.
and kind of is like, hey, I want to follow the rules. I want to learn the right way to do this instead of doing it the wrong way. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't watched anything past the first two episodes, so I don't know if that's going to
Yeah.
happen. But that wouldn't surprise me if that's kind of how the season kind of ends out, is her kind of going back and being like, okay, I want to follow the rules. I want to learn the right way
it's
become
a
a dad.
it's a humbling
Yeah.
experience for
So we'll
her.
see. Yeah.
She came out full of bravado and feeling that I'm more superior than you, even though I came from nothing, and
Right.
I don't want to heal to your collegiate needs or things of that
Right.
nature.
Yeah, and so we'll get to see, in the future episodes how that plays out, or if it plays out at all. I don't know.
Exactly. So, all right, I'm gonna bypass my thoughts, or my little start section about Parker, because we're gonna go right
Yeah,
into it because that kind of
yeah. Let's
falls
talk some more. Because
and
episode two.
throws
Yeah,
fit. Yeah, let's go into
yeah.
episode two.
So episode two is will the real Natalie please stand up? And this one again, this doesn't seem right to me. Riri's new AI dredges up painful memories of her first heist with Parker and his crew. That's kind of no, the AI dredges up painful memory. I don't know. Yes, the AI dredges up painful memories
Mhm.
during the her first heist. Like the painful memories are of Natalie and her stepdad,
Yeah.
not of the first heist. This is the first heist, so that's a little clunky.
It's
That
kind of
sentence,
weird because, like I said, this was taken directly
yeah,
from Disney
yeah,
Plus
and
per
it's a
episode.
little clunky. Yeah, it's a little clunky
It
the
is
way
a
it
bit
is.
clunky, yeah.
So because really, but I mean, this is her first her first heist with the crew, but before she can even get the heist started, the very first thing we see is, and I didn't it took me the second watch to really understand
Mm.
what was going on there, because I realized she had the electrodes attached to her head,
Okay.
and then she wakes up, the end of the very first episode, she wakes up and she sees, and Natalie wakes her up and goes, "Hey, Riri, wake up." And hey, here, I'm Natalie. And then in the second episode, we get Natalie, revealing that, well, I'm an AI. I'm not the actual Natalie. I'm an AI. And later, um, Riri asks Joe, she says, what would happen if a person used brain scan to create an AI? And that's basically what she did. She
Yes,
scanned
she
her
did.
brain, and that's where the AI Natalie came from, was the scan of Riri's brain.
Her memories of
Yeah,
Natalie and that
her memory.
personality. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Like I said, it took me this is the second watch to really understand that. And I didn't have the exact quote. You might have it. What does Natalie call herself?
Oh,
Neural.
hold on, I got it. Yes, I
Oh, you
do.
got it. Okay. Yeah.
So when Riri confronting Natalie, Natalie states, "Oh, so do you want me to explain myself? Okay, you could call me Neuro Autonomous Technical Assistant and Laboratory Intelligence Entity." And
Or
that
just
is
call
a
me Natalie.
mouthful.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just call me Natalie. So
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool that she had invented her own name with her own acronym
Just
for
think if this
herself.
was Jarvis out of Tony's brain.
Yeah, exactly. The same. It's the same. It's the same thing, really. I
Same
mean,
principle.
yeah, yeah. That becomes Ultron. Who?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want that. We don't want that to happen here.
Oh, no, no, no.
But yeah, so I thought that was really cool. That then she's got to find. And I thought it was cool that Natalie had already done the research to figure out who she needed to go to get the parts
Yes.
she needed to finish fixing the suit, and that's where we meet Joe.
Well, the funniest is though, within the first mission with the group, she pushes her limits to get it done, but Natalie just keeps poking her. And I like using this term from my notes, poking her like a bear. Because
Mhm.
Natalie is part of who Riri is from her thoughts of Natalie.
Right.
So I think it's so funny because she's basically arguing with herself in some respect.
Yeah, in
And
certain ways. Yeah.
but she tries to reach out to Stu, who is Rampage, but is thrown to a voicemail. But Natalie
Yeah.
helps her in her own way to track down somebody to get the parts and things that she needs. Uh but I have other questions about what if Natalie is not really AI, what if it's something else? Riri has power over Natalie through computers, so she could override her. She should be able to override her at certain points, but I think there is some sort of link.
Yeah,
So that's just my thoughts.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting, it's because like I said, she tethers her to the laptop, but then AI Natalie finds a way
To get out.
to get out of the
And she talks
the
to her
lab.
mom.
and talks to the mom. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting conversation too, because the mom basically, the
Accepted
mom
it.
really, yeah, she accepts it. She kind of rolls with the punches, but then she asks Riri if she could do the same thing to create an AI of Gary, the stepdad.
Gary, yes, yeah, she
Yeah, I'm
asked
assuming
about
that's the
that.
stepdad, and Riri kind of dodges the question
She
of no,
dodges that bullet. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's going to be we'll see, because like there may be more to this AI Natalie than just an AI. Like there might
I
be,
think
like I said,
so.
there might be something more to this, especially since she was drawn out of Riri's brain. So
That is true.
uh, we'll see
Yeah, but then
how that
we
goes.
get Riri's journey for somebody who could help her for her parts that she needs for her
Mhm.
armor, and she finds this guy Joe, and the guy is not who thinks she is. She thinks he is, and I thought it was funny that she is carrying her armor in a wagon like her little friend at
Yeah,
that time in a suburban white neighborhood
yeah,
and covered in a tarp. It looks like a body in the wagon, and she's
yeah, yeah,
dragging it along. And
yeah, yeah,
and Joe is funny, but the first impression with his argument with his neighbor reminds me of Micro from Punisher.
okay, yeah, yeah, I can see
He
that. Yeah,
gives me all the vibes of Micro,
yeah,
just in his mannerisms, the way he talks, the way he is, but not in a sense of him running away from something,
yeah,
just of him being who he is. He's not a confrontational person, he's not a physical person. And on top of that, yeah, it's like there's something within his own psyche which is makes him unique. He's not Micro, but he gives me
right.
those feelings. But he was like straight laced and is living some sort of a normal life, but he's not really normal.
Yeah, he's got this side business where he's been collecting these weapons and these bionics and stuff. He's been buying up these things, and why he's doing that is what we don't really get an answer to. We get this idea that he's being blackmailed
Mm-hmm.
by somebody in his company, and we don't, again, we there's more to Joe. And then that end scene where he's tearing up the neighbor's flowers and then kind
Yeah,
of
and
puts
has it
one
in
in
his
his
mouth.
mouth and walks away. I was kind of like, this is interesting. So
Yeah,
I don't
exactly right.
know. I don't know what Joe's an interesting guy. I'm intrigued to learn more about Joe in the coming episodes, and hopefully we get a chance to learn
Well,
some more about him. So
we did get an interesting driving ride with them listening to Alanis Morissette and them both singing along
yeah,
too.
I've got layers. I've got layers, Joe. I can be more than one thing. Yeah, I thought that was a great. I didn't take you for a Alanis Morissette fan. And she's like, well, I've got layers.
I got
Um,
layers. I was
yeah,
waiting for a Shrek comment.
yeah,
Like I'm
yeah.
like
It was,
onions.
yeah, it was good. And then they're singing along with it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's gonna be an interesting relationship to see how that goes forward. If he kind of becomes her man in the chair,
yeah,
because obviously she's gonna come to him again at some point, because maybe something is happening with the AI. She needs some help with it. We'll see if that. Yeah. So but yeah, the Joe, I'm intrigued to learn more about Joe and his character. But I love how she convinces him, and he's like, "What? I'm not going to kill you. Like why would I kill you? I'm not, like, I don't have that in me to kill somebody." So I thought that was interesting that
yeah.
he's
He's very honest.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see how he goes forward. But
Yeah, and they get to the place. He gives her what she needs.
yeah.
Joe asking about the arc reactor and it not being there.
Yeah, and she's got this other way. She says,
It's
didn't she
solar
say it was
power
like
and
solar
wind
and
power.
moon? Yes. Was it solar? Did she say solar and wind or solar and moon? I thought she said
Wind
solar and
power.
moon. Wind. Okay.
Yeah, I took it directly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, so she's got another way of powering her suit that is not an arc reactor, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Different from
So
Tony Stark.
yeah, definitely different from Tony. Basically, solar power propels it to a certain way, but it envelops all the wind as it's in motion to grab
Hmm.
more power. to
Yeah.
revolution it, which is
Yeah.
really really cool. It's a different way in
Yeah.
comparison to the arc reactor.
Yeah.
And then I just love how Riri was heading to the mission and Natalie showing up as the AI and just scaring her.
Yeah, yeah, and she loses the drive, and so they have to we don't do on the fly, kid. Well, you don't have any choice right now because I lost the hard drive.
Yeah,
I
it was
love that
the drive with the virus in it.
yeah, with
Everybody,
the
it's got
virus on it that she said I lost the drive, so we're gonna have to do something different here. And I love John's like we don't do on the fly, but she's like, well, we got no choice. But I what I thought was interesting too that I didn't realize, and it took me the second watch to really was we don't know how Parker got into Sheila's vehicle.
car. Yeah.
He got into her car, but they said something about he's holding his breath.
Mhm.
So I don't know if maybe that suit doesn't give him air, so he had to pretend. I don't know why his holding his breath, why that made a difference in while he was hiding in the car. Because I mean, obviously the hood kept him invisible, but
Yes.
I guess he had to hold his breath so she wouldn't hear him breathing. Maybe that's what they were saying, that he would be invisible, but she'd still be able to hear him breathing, and she would know somebody was in the car, or maybe there was sensors in the car that would be able to sense his breath. Maybe I don't know. I didn't really understand that fully, and they
Me
didn't really
neither.
explain it.
Yeah.
He just said something about Parker's got to hold his breath for however long it takes. And I was just like, that's kind of okay. Why has he got to hold his breath?
Yeah.
But then when he appeared in the car and he
Mhm.
just appeared, I was like, oh, okay, so he was already in the car, and I don't know. It just seemed weird to me that
It,
whole
it was
exchange.
like the hood of invisibility that Frodo had in the Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings. Everybody,
yeah,
he
but for
just
whatever
opens it
reason, he
up.
had to also hold his breath. It didn't make, yeah, I wasn't clear on that
Yeah.
part of it. So, but yeah, so I thought that was cool. That the one girl blows the hole in the street, and that's how Riri's able to get into the tunnel.
Yeah.
Which now there's just a hole, I guess, in the street. That's gonna have to be fixed at some point because you don't want a hole in the street leading down to your tunnel, your highway tunnel.
Yeah.
That seemed a little weird. And that's where obviously the security guard uh found them because of the hole in the street, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I wasn't really clear on how the security guard just
Was
showed up.
showed up and he was just there. Yeah, just
Yeah,
like alerts or whatever.
yeah, I knew
But
exactly what
also,
was going on, and
and then we had the issue with between Natalie and Riri at the same time. It was funny, but they were both in trouble at the same time, and then the
yeah,
bullet passing her and then hitting the guard at the same time. And we
yeah,
find out it's Parker who is shooting it. And where did he
yeah,
come from at that same point?
yeah.
It's like, and then later on we see Parker's secret lair and John seeing his tattoos, and the tattoos are moving on his body. If you didn't
Yeah.
realize that,
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. So I don't know. Like I said,
and you hear
there's something with
voices.
Parker. Yeah, I didn't hear that part. I didn't get that part of it. But okay, so yeah, that makes sense that there would be something. So there's something going on with him that's more than just so that's maybe where
Exactly.
the supernatural is coming in to play.
Correct.
Like I said, when that's it's in this episode where Riri asks about his hood, and the other girl, the explosive girl, says, well, I saw him without his shirt off one time, and damn,
Yeah, exactly.
but he had scales, but I don't think he's a lizard person, and I just thought,
I think it
okay,
had to do with his tattoos at that point.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure that's what it was she was seeing. So, yeah, so there's obviously there's more to him, and you said you've got some comic book stuff
Yeah,
for
we'll
him, but
go into that now. The last part we got was Joe. The last scenes that we got are Riri talking to her mom.
mhm,
Steve already brought it up about Natalie and her mother's accepting of the AI of Natalie and asking her, "Can you do that one of Gary? It would be greatly appreciated." And it
yeah,
was hard for Riri to talk about it because she didn't even know what she did at the same time. And
yeah,
then Joe taking charge as he gets back home and getting pissed off at his neighbor and just about the poo on his shoe.
yeah, and
and
destroying
then
the flowers,
and then he
yeah,
destroys the flowers, and then next you see him one with his mouth like a dog at one point. I thought that was funny how it ended
yeah,
off.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
the whole thing about Parker within the comics, so in the Marvel comics in the Ironheart series, The Hood, who is played by Parker or is Parker Roberts, is a character whose journey and motivations offers several layers of representation. In his terms of origins and motivations, the Hood represents the struggle of the working class and desperation that can lead to criminal behavior.
Mhm.
So Parker Robbins is a petty crime criminal from New York or Chicago in the show,
Mhm.
and is initially driven by a need to provide for his family, including his sick mother. And that's from the comics, everybody. So he stumbles upon a source of power, quote unquote, the mystical cloak and boots, through a desperate act of crime, and uses these newfound abilities to try to improve his circumstances, uh, ambition, and the pursuit of power. Even before acquiring his powers, Parker craved power and security to, and that it could bring. And his transformation into the Hood fuels his ambition, leading him to pursue a path of supervillainy and aim to the dark side of magical power and temptation it offers. So the source of the Hood's powers is revealed to be demonic, initially
Okay.
connected to Dormammu. And
Okay.
we all know that from Doctor Strange, everybody, if you watch Doctor
Mhm.
Strange movie, and later involving other packs. This represents the alluring yet dangerous nature of seeking power through dark or mystical means, as shown in the Ironheart series, by the physical, psychological toll it takes on him. So he's going a little crazy at this point.
Okay.
And in the context of the Ironheart series, the Hood also represents the clash between science and magic. So
Mm.
Ironheart is described as exploring the dynamic between Riri Williams' technological brilliance and the mystical abilities wielded by the Hood. So it's a combination of both.
Okay.
So that's what they're looking at that, and this sets up for the central conflict between uh, logical innovation and chaotic magical features of forces. So,
Mhm.
a potential bridge to the supernatural side of the MCU, which we have been alluding to for a long time. I've been saying this since WandaVision. So, the Hood's connection to Dormammu in the comics, it's possible ties to other entities like Mephisto, suggested by the Ironheart series, could
Right.
open doors to exploring magical and supernatural elements of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've only exposed a little bit of this. What did we get? Werewolf by Night. All
Mhm.
we got was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and then
Right.
WandaVision, and that's it. That's and
Well,
maybe
and then
Agatha
Agatha all along, yeah,
along.
a little bit
So
there as well.
basically,
So,
this is trying to connect everything within the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well as the technological version of it
okay.
together. But who we get out as being who is really the Hood? Will he be Ghost Rider? Will he be, who knows who this person is? We don't know because we got several movies coming up. This was the last of the Marvel Disney shows to come out on Disney Plus
Mm.
that was filmed. They have done it, and Kevin Feige ended it at that. So they already had this in the can for a while. They delayed it so long because
Right.
now, think about it, everybody. We're getting Fantastic Four coming this
Yeah.
July. I can't wait for
Yeah.
it to come.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we got a lot of stuff coming up. So, but yeah, that's cool. So that's the comic book side of the Hood. So we'll get to see how that's going to play into the
Yeah,
television show. But let's talk about the heist too here for a minute because I thought
God.
this is going to be interesting going forward to see how if they use this going forward at all, because one of the things that Parker does is he tells this Sheila woman, he says, well, you've got a sign, you're going to hire my crew and I, for 6 figures with benefits and all that. So we're going to become co-owners of this tunnel here in
Mhm.
Chicago. And then, John makes the joke to the security guards when they leave the headquarters room or whatever, the control room of the tunnel. He says, well, we'll see you at the holiday party. So I would assume that means going forward, they're going to be involved. This tunnel is still going to be involved with something of what but we also don't know what these other two, because when John and Parker were talking about, they said that we have three marks. Sheila's just the first one, and then we got two more marks we've got to hit before our ultimate goal of whatever. He hasn't said exactly what their ultimate goal is
Yeah.
of their overall plan. So there's more going forward. Like you said, when initially he told Riri, we got three jobs we want to pull that we want you to be part of. So
Mm.
I don't know if she's, totally in the crew, or
She's
how.
just doing. I think honestly, Riri's only in this to get what she needs for her armor and everything else.
Yeah, and maybe that's all he's expecting her. Once she gets what she needs, then she'll go her separate ways. I don't know.
But now she has an AI with Natalie, and she has a friend in Joe.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I'm really excited to see where this series is going to go going forward. This tunnel, this is the first time we've seen this tunnel in the
Yes,
MCU that's under Chicago. I mean, this is really the first time we've seen Chicago, I think.
I
We've
think
seen New
so.
York. We've seen New York. We've seen some other Madripoor. We've seen some other places, but I think this is the first time we've really
Well,
seen
where was
Chicago. So
where was hold on, Miss Marvel, and what?
was
Oh, she was
Jersey.
in
She was
it was
Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. You're
this
right.
is Chicago. I think this is the first time we've seen Chicago,
I think so. Yeah.
so we didn't know anything about this tunnel that was being built. So I'm really excited for the rest of the series. I'm excited to watch the next two over the next few days. And then unfortunately, like you said, there's going to be a little bit of a delay before we
Yeah.
get to the next two episodes to podcast on. I'm going to try to resist watching the whole thing. It's going to be hard though with it all being out there, but I've
That's
also got
fine.
other things on my plate right now, and you've
Same
got other
here.
things on your plate as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, this is really set up really well. I for the rest of these last four episodes that I'm excited to get to
And
podcast on and
oddly
watch.
enough, listeners, it's being heralded as being really well done by a lot of people. And it's not from people who are professional,
Mhm.
critics. I'm talking about the fan base that's out there. People are happy about it. And I
Yeah,
think
and
that
we
the
don't have the
scripting was
same we don't
good.
have the same negative. I'm not seeing the same negative comments like what we had about Miss Marvel. There was
Or a
there was
secret invasion,
Yeah,
or
there was
yeah.
there was negative comments about Secret Invasion being too confusing. Miss Marvel was too woke or whatever. I don't care
Or
about that
Captain
stuff.
America and a Winter Soldier and
Yeah,
stuff
there
like
there was some
that.
other
Yeah.
things that we had some negative. I haven't heard anything about. I haven't heard anything bad about this one. That I just it just it's I'm floored that Disney released it the way they did. It just
Same
seems
here.
odd.
It was just like they
Um,
just wanted to dump it to get it out of there.
yeah,
What meanwhile with what was the other one? That was an offshoot from Hawkeye. Uh what's her
Hawkeye.
name?
Oh, yeah, the Echo. Echo,
Echo.
the
Yeah.
Indian, the Native American,
Yeah, Echo.
indigenous person. Yeah,
And that was a very well done show. It
yeah,
was just underrated, I thought, on my opinion. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I did appreciate it. But the
yeah. And
thing,
it had ramifications for the bigger MCU as well, with Kingpin being
yes,
involved in that as well. Her being part of, yeah, with Kingpin being involved and stuff like, the
and
end of
him getting
Hawkeye.
shot in the face.
Yeah, and then he comes back in Echo, and then he comes back in Daredevil Born Again, which we
Hmm.
we covered here on this podcast. So yeah, Echo had its place. I don't know where Ironheart's going to fall in. I
Mm.
know I kind of, I not to spoil anything, because
Good.
I think I did see that Riri is part of Secret Wars. So
Well, also,
she's
yeah, I thought.
cast. She's in the cast for Secret Wars. I don't know if
Well,
she's in the cast for Doomsday,
here's the
but
theory that I've always had, and I've been saying this for a long time. We're gonna get a young Avengers, Steve.
okay.
We
Yeah.
we we
I don't
got.
know. I'm just telling you that when I was looking at IMDb page, her IMDb page, she's listed as being in Secret Wars. So
Yeah, because we had Stature from Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? We had Hawkeye's young companion. What's her name? Oh, I'm forgetting her name. The one who was the
Kate.
archer.
Yeah, Kate.
Kate Bishop.
Yeah, Kate Bishop.
And then we have the kid from Agatha all along.
Yeah.
who would be Wicked.
Yeah.
So they're prepping us for young Avengers to some degree,
Yeah.
but very, very slowly. And
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
looking forward to that. It'd be great to get the young Avengers because now, as you guys listen to our coverage of the Thunderbolts, we have the
Mhm.
new Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll
so
see.
so it's a possibility with all these things colliding, you're going to get this over the course of another, sadly enough, within 3 years, because they're forcing a lot of stuff. We're getting Fantastic Four this year, this
Yeah.
summer.
Fantastic Four is this month. Yeah.
Yeah, this within
Yeah.
another week or two.
Yeah.
And
We're getting
then
Fantastic Four, and then Secret Wars is supposed to be out at some point.
Spider-Man
Doomsday. Yeah. Yeah.
brand new day
Yeah.
is coming
And
out
right.
eventually. We're going to get
Didn't
that.
Doomsday did Doomsday get pushed back again into 2020? I don't know. I've not.
No, it's still the same date, around the same
Okay.
year.
Okay.
But yeah, and then you got Brand New Day, which is filming now, will come at the end of July into August. So they're prepping for a lot, and
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to, Kevin Feige, as much as people have been giving him crap for the past 2 years or 3 years, I should say, he's been holding off because a lot of the Disney Plus stuff was thrown into the mix, like kind of like with Disney, because even with Star Wars, people are like, "Oh, I didn't like the Acolytes. Oh, I didn't like this. I didn't like that." And then
Hmm.
I didn't even watch the Skeleton Crew. Everybody, I
Yeah,
should go
Skeleton Crew
back
was
and
good.
watch.
I didn't watch Acolyte, but I watched Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew was good.
But and then I kind of started watching Andor, but I kind of fell off because it was so long in between.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, I'm the
so
same way.
much shows, and then you get so much in there. And a lot of people have said recently to me, because with content and everything that's out there, Squid Games 3 season 3 started already, and I haven't even watched the first episode completely. So
Yeah,
there's
I've
so
never
much
been a Squid Game.
content,
I'm not a
you
fan of
know.
Squid Games, so I'm not. That's not even on my radar. But yeah, no, I get you. There's so much content. There is. We went through this with COVID and everything. We had like a 2 year gap, 18 month to almost 2 year gap where stuff there was hardly anything,
And
and
it
then
was
all of a
in
sudden,
limbo, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden it just
we just
dropped.
yeah we had all this stuff drop in a 6 month time period because once the levies once people were able to start working again, and then
Mhm.
after the writers strike and the actors strike and everything, once all that stuff got resolved, then suddenly we started having content. And so yeah, we've got a lot of content coming out over the next 6 months to a year, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be a busy time for us.
busy people for watching content, or busy people like us who are podcasting on this.
Yep. It's gonna be fun.
Anyhow, with that, we'll talk about other things. We'll go into podcast recommendations. So Steve, you have a couple, right?
Yeah, the only thing the biggest thing I've got right now is as I think we talked about before we started recording, that TV Podcast Industries is also covering Ironheart. If you have if especially if you've already finished watching all 6 episodes, I think TV Podcast Industries has put coverage out there for all six of the Ironheart episodes. So give them a listen to. Those guys are great over there, Derek and John. And I'm not sure if it's all three of them or two of them. I haven't had a chance to listen yet
Yeah,
to their podcasts, but give TV Podcast Industries a listen for their Ironheart coverage as well.
yeah, amazing. They're really good at it.
Yeah.
A lot of love for Podcastica. Our friends out there, Jason, Daphne, Paik, Rima, everybody on the Podcastica crew. But at current time, right now, they are covering. Penny and Kara are covering. They're coming back with the Buffy podcast that's out there now, Buffyverse,
Yeah. Still slaying.
still slaying. So they're continuing their journey with Angel and apparently Buffy at the same time. I don't know if they're intertwining or doing
Yeah,
something.
they're doing their schedule is, and I'm supposed to be on an episode here in a few weeks with on a Buffy episode here in a few weeks. They're doing the most recent one they just dropped. They dropped 2 episodes of Angel,
Mhm.
and they're going to be dropping an episode of Buffy here coming up the next couple of weeks. So yeah, they're back on schedule. They had a little bit of a break, but now I think they're back pushing out Still Slaying pretty regularly now. So
Awesome.
be watching for that.
And then Jason is continuing his Walking Dead coverage rewatch
Yeah.
with everybody else, as well as doing Squid Game season 3 now. which is
Yeah.
out there.
Ben and
Rima.
Alex just wrapped up. Ben and Alex just wrapped up Dead City.
Oh, okay.
On the Cast of Us. Rima and Paik just wrapped up You on Strange Indeed. They just finished their the series finale of You.
All right,
Came out a
cool.
week or so ago. So Strange Indeed wrapped up You.
Hmm.
So yeah, podcast has got stuff coming out pretty steadily as well.
Yeah, all you have to do is go to podcastica.com. Look forward to Jamie and I's coverage on Sandman, because Sandman just dropped today on the 3rd of
Yeah,
July. So we'll be covering those 2 episodes at a time, everybody. So next week,
yeah.
and I'll be putting
Oh,
some promotion out there.
yeah,
So
and
if you,
speaking of 2 episodes at a time, our friends Becky and Mandy have been covering The Better Sister
yep,
over on Prime Video. They've been doing 2 episodes at a time over there. They should be wrapping up The Better Sister here, season 1 of that show pretty quick in the next little bit or so. I think I sent them my last voicemail on
yep,
episode 8 just a few days ago. So I think they've got that wrapped up in the can.
yep.
So yeah, so check out what's on tonight as well.
On
That's
the
all on.
Pyrocore Entertainment podcast. So all
Yes.
you have to do is look up Pyrocore Entertainment Podcast. You'll find what's on tonight episodes. They did, wow.
What We Do
Uh
in the Shadows. They did The Pit,
yeah,
and
exactly. And
now
then the
Better
Better
Sister.
Sister. And then coming this month, I have to pull a little bit of triple duty, because I'm gonna be doing Dexter. The new Dexter series is coming out in July
Yeah,
as
I think
well.
I may step into a couple of those episodes as well when Dexter comes back.
So check
Uh,
them out. And then on top of that, on the Pyrocore Entertainment podcast, you could also hear dinner with her with Mandy, and
yes,
their women in history conversation. And it's a really good take on that as well. So you might be able to hear as well Rima from Strange Indeed as well on when we cover Dexter. So she's gonna
nice.
probably be on a couple of times. We just gotta work that out within the scheduling. Everything is in scheduling, everybody. So
Yeah,
with that, keep that in mind, because this week not only will you have this particular episode, but also at the same time, Jamie and I not only are coming back with Sandman Cast, but we're gonna wrap up the Invincible season 3. We're doing those 2 episodes at a time. And then on top of that, Adrenaline Cinema podcast, we're gonna do some like anniversary style episodes. So we on the 4th of July, you'll have the Jaws 50th anniversary conversation with Rob Moda, Frank Rodriguez, and Adam Gonzalez, and myself. And we had fun time with that. So
nice. I look forward to listening to that one.
it's not a 3 hour style podcast, everybody. It's only about an hour and 20. So we're not doing what we did before with Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. Not saying that Rob was like bad at it with putting out 3 hour episodes, but sometimes that could be too much for people on a commute or
Yeah,
traveling time. So we kind of narrowed it down to a science, and it worked out. And I'm going to try to get Rob to do a little bit more of that. We want to do the Goonies anniversary stuff. Jamie and I had already covered it. I'm going to let them have their fun with it. And then on top of that, there's going to be a Back to the Future one. It's the 40th anniversary, everybody.
yep.
Yep. 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. So we got to do that. So I might jump on that for a little bit and then have them have their way with Goonies. And then there's a couple of others too that are coming up on some great anniversaries. A little bit more about Podcastka. They did 28 weeks later too. That just came out too, didn't they, Steve?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. So check
Yeah.
that out as well on podcastica.com. Another cheap pop for them. There you
Yeah.
go. Anyhow, so with this particular episode, we didn't put any feedback information out there. This was like a one-off where we did it right off. It's like Steve and I both were like, oh, darn, it came out. We haven't covered it yet.
Yeah.
And it took us about a week. And oh my God, it's over. But if you have any theories or feedback that you want to send to us, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/panels to pixels. Generally, we leave an image, even if it's an image of something that we're coming up to do, leave a comment about this particular episode if you need to. You could send us that through Facebook Messenger. Whatever happens on that comes through just the same. Same thing on Instagram. Just the same. It's all the same meta. So do that. Same thing on YouTube, because basically I just replay the podcast on there and I get the feedback, as well as Spotify too. I get the comments from Spotify, and I actually could just actually respond to you directly. I did that once when I was getting a car serviced one day and I was bored, and I was like, oh, somebody just responded, and I replied to them, and they were really nice about it, and it was awesome.
Nice.
And then if you really feel the need, you could send us an email, panelstopixels1@gmail.com. Panels 2 is spelled out TO, pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. Write your thoughts out. We'll read them on the next podcast or later on, depending on whenever you get it to us. And just refer to what you're commenting about, what episode or podcast we were talking about. And then if you feel the need and you really want to do so, all you have to do is record yourself. And it's as if you're on the podcast. Everybody has these cool, nifty devices. Record yourself, send it as an attachment to that email, and I can play it, honestly. And you could be here. And if you have any thoughts and ideas or recommendations, please feel free to do so in either email formats. We're at that ending point now, Steve, and I never know how to segue. But where else can listeners hear us?
Well, obviously, you can hear me right here on Panels to Pixels podcast. I love doing this with my friend Mark. We put these out as much as we can. I also send voicemails to various podcasts that our friends do. You'll hear my voice on some of the Podcastica podcasts as well. Also, and like I said earlier, just a little while ago, I said I should be on Still Slaying here for a Buffy episode in the next few weeks.
Awesome. And as always, you could hear me right here on Panels to Pixels podcast, as always. And you could hear me on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, as well as the Pirate Core Entertainment Music podcast. And look forward for more content when it comes to that as well. So basically, not to bore you any longer, everybody. That was our episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. You know, we had a good time having fun talking about it, and we look forward to when we can come back in another week or so to talk about the next 2 episodes of Ironheart within the series. Because, like I said, we just want to do 2 episodes at a time, so that way you guys are entertained. We are having fun talking about this stuff, and I hope you enjoy listening to us having fun talking about it, and you screaming at us saying, "You got that wrong, Mark, you got that wrong," because trust me, I do get things wrong at times. Anyhow, with that, I'm Mark.
I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels. Same podcast, different panel, different pixel. And we'll see you on the next panel. Good night, everybody.
Good night. And happy Independence Day.
Ha ha.